try this again.
Aha,
Take 3, boys.
Let's go.
Woo! Alright. Bloomfeld podcast.
Give it up for take 3. Take
Give
3.
it up for take 3. Ding, 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 ding. I need to get a triangle.
Give it up for
You
take
guys have
3.
kazoos. I need a triangle.
Yeah.
We should
What are they
release
called
a whole hour-long pod where it's just us playing the kazoo and triangle.
That would sound terrible on here.
Exactly.
That sounds amazing. That's what I think.
Can you tell this is a podcast about nothing?
Yes.
Sometimes something, mostly nothing.
But
Hello,
today,
everybody. Fuck.
Today we're talking about the Batman.
Yes.
Yes.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Bloomfeld podcast. Intro. So, today we're going to be talking about The Batman. Amazing movie. And before we start talking about it, major spoilers. We're basically going to be talking about the whole entire movie, front to back, beginning to end, like, butt to tip. Alright? So, just let you know that right now. We've learned our lesson from episode 2 when we talked about Spider-Man. This is going to be a long discussion. It's going to take up the entire time slot. There will not be 2 topics. There'll just be this one. So I'm going to hand it over to Logan to get us started. Let's go.
Alright, so I think it's only appropriate we're talking about Batman after Spider-Man. I feel like it's a logical step. I figured we'd start with the character himself. How did you guys get introduced to Batman, if you can remember that far back?
Arkham Asylum.
Alright.
yeah, probably Arkham Asylum.
I've been familiar with Batman my entire life due to the '89 film and Batman Returns, because my parents loved those movies. They loved Michael Keaton. I didn't really get into the character until Arkham Asylum, yeah, because it was a video game and I heard it was good, and I was like, you know what, I don't really care about Batman. I like Robin, I don't care about Batman, but this video game seems fun. And yeah, I became obsessed. I love Batman. He's probably my favorite superhero, next to the Ninja Turtles. So
Batman has so much cool so many cool characters, so much cool mythos, all of that. He is such an interesting character, especially Russian Batman. That guy's a fucking card.
Roger Craig Smith. Anyway, I've watched, at least unless I'm misremembering something, I've seen every Batman film ever made. So when I heard they were making yet another reboot, I did admittedly roll my eyes because I was like, oh boy, I get to watch Bruce Wayne's parents die again. But thankfully, the Batman doesn't do that. It's actually like a year 2 story, kind of like Arkham Origins was for the Arkham series. And that's a very interesting era for Batman, so I had better hopes for this one, despite me still rolling my eyes. And when I saw the cast for the film, I thought, what the fuck?
It was
Oh
probably
my
mostly
God, it's the
Pattinson, if I had to
Twilight
make a
guy.
guess. And I was kind of on the same page, honestly. It felt odd. I feel like that was a very, like, collective reaction to that. Is like, oh, the Twilight guy? What the fuck? It's strange, for sure.
This guy is actually a really good actor. It's just Twilight is the thing that everyone knows him for. And it will forever haunt that man to his grave.
Oh, I'm sure.
Well, it would haunt me if I was in that position, yeah.
So but then I saw the first trailer and I thought, okay, this works. I'm gonna see this because this seems like a Batman that actually works. And I will say this right now: Robert Pattinson is my favorite live-action Batman, next to Keaton. Keaton still has a few things that I really love that I just feel like no one else is ever gonna be able to replicate, but I think that Pattinson finally nailed comic-accurate Batman, just perfectly.
I would agree. I think Robert Pattinson's been the best Batman since George Clooney. I'm kidding.
I was about to go off. So
You mother...
You what?
I was reserving judgment for the most part until I saw the trailer because I knew how this song and dance was going to go because literally every single Batman actor post Adam West, no one's ever had faith in until they actually seen the movie. Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Christian Bale, Ben Affleck, they all received nothing but hate until we actually saw them on screen, and with the exception of George Clooney and maybe Val Kilmer, I'd say they were home runs for the most part.
For the most part.
So, Robert Pattinson, he nails it. He really does. I think that his performance as Batman is amazing. His Bruce Wayne is fine. For an early Bruce Wayne, I'd say it works. But probably my only issue with him is I don't like the emo boy haircut. Like, his hair, when he fixes it, looks fine, but the emo boy haircut, where it's just over his face, is like, okay, this is this isn't Batman. This is edging a little too close to Pattinson's Twilight origins, and I don't really like that. So, but what do you think of Pattinson's Bruce Wayne emo haircut?
Man. I don't know. It was kind of a meh thing with the haircut. I did think it looked a little stupid, but the overly, it's like the edge kind of vibe that Bruce was giving off, I feel like it was very fitting. It was something, it felt like you were kind of supposed to roll your eyes at. It's like, Jesus Christ, Bruce, get a grip.
I feel like every Batman but Affleck and Bale had shitty haircuts.
Oh,
that's true.
Yeah, I could see that. I think.
Yeah,
I don't really know how to put it. I think my least favorite part about Battinson, as we're going to call him from now on, I think my least favorite part about him, though, is they didn't really do a ton with the Bruce and Alfred relationship, which I guess that's just kind of like a me thing. That's like one of my favorite parts about Batman is just like the father figure type deal he's got with Alfred. And the actor who played Alfred was top notch. I loved him too.
Andy Serkis.
Yes, he was amazing. I just wish he had a little bit more pertinence in the film, I guess. He didn't really show up that much overall, but I enjoyed him a lot. I just wish there was a little bit more with it, and I feel like Bruce was a little bit too distant from the company every now and again. It felt like he almost just didn't give a shit, which is not a really good thing to do with a multi-billion-dollar company, I guess.
Well, see, that's par for the course for early Batman, though. Like, year 1, year 2, even year 3 Batman, he does not care about Wayne Tech.
I mean, I'll be honest, if I was Batman, I wouldn't give a singular fuck about Wayne Enterprises or anything like that.
Well, he should, because that's what's funding his Bat Tech. If he lets the company go under, no more Batman. But, he's being a brat, so he's not doing anything about it at all in this movie, actually. That's something I'm sure the sequel will no doubt explore a bit more, which I'm excited for. I think that, Alfred was one of my weak points for the film, too, because Alfred is a character, and going back to Bruce Wayne and Alfred together, Bruce Wayne in general neither of them show up much in the film at all. It's mostly the Batman show, like entirely in costume Batman things, which is fine. It's nice because I know sometimes people like that more for the character. And these early Batman stories when he's early in his career, that's usually what people are looking for, is when he's spending a lot of time in the suit. It makes sense for his character at that point with what his mind's going through and how he's dealing with, or how he's not dealing with, I should say, his parents' death. I think it works, but it does hurt the film in the sense that it's a new universe, and you want to kind of get a feel for these new interpretations of the characters, well, quote unquote new. You want to get a feel for this Alfred and his dynamic with Bruce, and it's very, very shallow. It's very small, So you don't get much out of it. That does hurt the film in a sense, because you're not getting anything out of these guys. Even though what we did have was good, it was very minuscule.
Yeah, I think. I was just a little upset at the fact that it felt like, to a point, Alfred just kind of turned into an exposition dump about, like, Carmine Falcone and shit near the end of the film, and that kind of sucked for me.
Yeah, that unfortunately was what he was reduced to, due to how the film plays out. But it did lead to a lot of great Batman moments. And one of my favorite thing about this direction of the film is that because it's so centered on Batman, we actually get to see him do some fucking detective work for once on screen.
Yeah.
The detective work that Batman actually gets to do is actually really fun. Like, I actually get to see Batman deduce things in real time instead of him just being, instead of a cutaway scene. It's like, oh, camera cut, we're back at the Batcave. Alfred, I figured it out. I was like, okay, I sure would love to see you do that. So, I really liked that approach.
Alfred, I figured out who was in Paris.
Alfred, I got it.
It was Black Adam. Anyway, do you guys want to get into how the film starts out? Because I thought this was actually a really eerie and very fun way for the film to start out, to how it opened.
I'll let Dylan get into it, because we've kind of been taking the spotlight from Dylan for a little bit, so...
I mean, it's not like I'm fucking out here craving for it. The intro sequence to the film, in my opinion, is absolutely amazing, because it starts off and it introduces you to Batman and Riddler. Riddler's just being a fucking creepy ass weirdo. He's behind the mayor in his house. The dude's watching his TV, like seeing the debate he was in. And after a little while, he just decides to beat the man to death. And then it gets into the opening monologue from Batman, where it basically, he talks about how the bat symbol has basically, it's really new at this point. Like, he's in year 2 and he's finally getting the bat signal. And it's basically then shows sequences of people committing crimes in Gotham, but then they see, like news choppers and police choppers will, like, put lights on them and then fly away, and then they see the bat symbol. And it puts that kind of psychological warfare on them, because they're like, Batman's about to fucking break my kneecaps.
Yeah, the cinematography with that was really good, because there's this one guy who was vandalizing like City Hall or something with like spray paint, and he looked down this alleyway, and it's just the street light, and he's like, oh god, he's there. And I thought he was like, I thought it's like Batman's gonna come out of the darkness and beat the fuck out of this guy, and he didn't.
Yeah,
that was really good.
During like the sequence, Batman's monologuing, he's like, it's a big city, I can't be everywhere at once, but my enemies don't know where I am. And he delivers one of the edgiest, but also one of the best lines of the entire film, where he says, "These people think I'm hiding in the shadows, but I am the shadows." And then it finally shows a sequence where these guys, with painted faces and stuff, because it's on Halloween. Bruce talks about that in his monologue, how everyone's out for the holidays despite the rain. And these guys have, like, their face paint and stuff. They're just some random goons on a train. And then they, like, chase after this one dude. And they're, like, basically doing an initiation on one of the younger members of the gang. They're like, yeah, beat the crap out of him. And then from the nearby darkness of the train station, they hear very heavy, thunderous footsteps. And it kind of just gets them all to, like, draw their attention over there. And Batman emerges from the shadows. The, like, leader of the gang pulls out, like, a machete or something. Pulls out a weapon. And then Batman proceeds to break, I think, about 8 bones in 4 seconds.
I love the way he starts that, too, because he disarms him, and then he just bitch slaps him several times before he goes
And then
down,
once he goes on the ground,
starts beating
ground
him.
pounds him twice in the sternum. Just full force punch.
Oh, I love it.
And then I'm vengeance. Like, oh
yeah, because the guy's like, the hell are you supposed to be? Breaks multiple bones in his body. I'm vengeance. Just so fucking good.
It's such an amazing introduction to a character, because, like, even people who don't really know Batman, they know just from these, like, very few minutes, just A, he's scary as shit, and B, he doesn't fuck around. Like, he will beat your shit in, and it is amazing. It sets a good precedent for him the entire film.
He won't kill you, but he will drive your hospital bills through the roof.
He will kill you. The IRS will.
Batman won't kill you, but you will never walk again or be able to hold a stable job and live in poverty the rest of your natural-born life.
Or eat solid food.
Yes.
You might as well be dead at that point after taking a beating
Batman
from
honestly sometimes gives people fate worse than death.
He does. And this film really highlights it too.
Yeah, Batman.
And I love it because he is, like Nathan said, he is brutal, and this film really, especially the opening sequence, really highlight that perfectly. I love it. Really
the first sequence, and obviously we're not getting to it, but the final sequence also has a decent amount of that brutality. Fucking, so good. But yeah, the first, like, 10 minutes of the film really set the tone, because fucking Riddler is prowling about killing influential figures in Gotham, and Batman is beating the ever-loving shit out of criminals. And in the day, he's not walking around in a suit as Bruce Wayne, because I think an aspect of the film a lot of people haven't talked about as much is Bruce basically is split into 3 people in the film. There's Bruce Wayne, fucking edgy rich guy. There's Batman, and then there's this drifter character. He walks around. He's got like a neck gaiter on. He's got a hoodie. He's got layers. He's going by undetected. He just honestly looks like a homeless guy, and he uses that outfit to go around the city, like, scouting things out.
Yeah,
which I think is a great way to explain it, because, like, Batman cannot do the scouting in the suit. because that draws shit tons of attention. And he also can't just be Bruce Wayne in a Gucci suit with binoculars. Just like, it's like, what the fuck are you doing, dude?
It's just like later on in the movie where he goes to a funeral as Bruce Wayne. As soon as he stepped out of the car, you hear someone in the back was like, "Holy shit, it's Bruce Wayne!"
Yeah,
I like that. I really like that. And not to mention, just to add to the atmosphere, as the Drifter, he's also listening to Nirvana. Something in the
I have listened to that song probably 100 times since seeing the movie.
I've listened to it quite a bit too. I hate it when I go to change the song and I see the album cover of Baby.
That's also true.
I'm not okay with that. I don't know
just-
if Apple Music lets you change the cover.
I'm just really lucky that on Spotify they have like these like small like 5 to 10 second clips that play in the background, and the one that Nirvana put on that song is actual grown adults in swim trunks in a pool. So,
Lucky.
yeah.
It's uncomfortable is what it is.
No, that's understandable. But God, what a good song. God.
You think after Dragon Ball I'd be desensitized to baby dick, but no.
It just made it worse.
It just made
I
it
don't
worse
think
'cause
I
it's
don't
real.
think you should ever get to the point where you're desensitized to baby dick. Besides maybe being a parent
there-
changing a diaper.
Like, I mean, yeah, it's more like it's just uncomfortable. It's like I don't want to
Oh,
see
absolutely.
it,
Yeah.
I get desensitized to me is like, okay, whatever. I've seen worse.
That's
usually
true.
like gore, for example. If I see something really bloody or gory, it used to skeeve me out as a kid, but now I'm like, whatever. It's all movie effects.
My favorite movie is Saw 4, so
Oh God, Saw 4 sucks.
Yeah, not really.
Anyway.
I just pulled the worst Saw movie I could think of out of my ass. So
There's something
so-
in my
my ass, and it's
Saw
Saw 4.
Hello, Mr. Wayne.
God.
Before you lies a thumb drive, you must shove it up your ass. I can't fucking.
Yeah, as you notice, your balls have been coated in milk and breadcrumbs.
Oh God, I wish I remembered the racist uncle one. That one I could not get through. Saying that to Nathan in my jigsaw.
Before you, Mr. Wayne, you will see a beaker with sulfuric acid. You know what to do.
Before you lies my mason.
Okay, we're getting off topic.
I can't do it. Okay. So after the intro, Batman sees the signal and he goes to the crime scene at which the guy Riddler killed at the beginning of the film.
Yep.
And he finds, everyone's getting kind of pissed because the cops don't like them either because they're dirty or they're too good at their job to let vigilantes do anything for them.
But Gordon
the
is a
homie.
Chad. Dude, look, I love Gordon so much. Like, other than
he is
Batman himself,
fantastic
Gordon
in
was my
this film.
favorite character in that entire film.
Jeffrey Wright's performance as James Gordon is fantastic.
I loved it.
I did not
so
think I would love it as
much.
much as I did. It is amazing.
No, I saw it at first as like, oh, this is a new design for Gordon. I've actually never seen like just straight up. I never seen a Gordon that's not just some old white dude. So
Now
it's
see,
different.
black
I was like, I don't know. I'm ready to see what this guy will do. It's so good. God, he was
He's
so
got
good.
such a good jive to him. I described it to Nathan as like 70s buddy cop
Yeah.
slang, and I love it. Like, there's a part of me that wishes J.K. Simmons got his fun in the sun as James Gordon, but Jeffrey Wright is a damn fine choice for this new universe. I can't wait to see him in the sequel because he really is Batman's sidekick in this film. We didn't at the cost of Alfred, and obviously they never do Robin in the films. Jeffrey Wright as James Gordon. It doesn't really make me miss it that much because he's so good in his role.
The casting of this movie is absolutely one of the highlights of many highlights at that.
I
Did
remember
you guys?
during the part whenever they were leaving from that scene, that Batman got to see the crime scene, and like he leaned in, and it's like, we really gotta go, Chief. It was like, God, he calls him Chief. Like,
Yeah, I
love it.
loved that. What did you guys ever pick up on the answer to the riddle?
Yeah.
Which riddle in particular?
The first riddle. The first one.
What does a liar do when he's dead? He lies still.
Yeah. Because I picked up on that one just immediately.
Right.
But not all of them, but that first one was like, oh, I'm Batman. I figured out the riddle.
The riddles are fun.
So,
the
they
entire
are.
film, I feel like they're all done very well. And I just need to mention real quick, just as a general thing, I really appreciate how this movie actually made Riddler, like, a good character, like not just some fucking goofball who loves making children's rhymes for Batman. He's actually like a demented serial killer, and it's amazing.
Yeah, this is not James
I-
Carrey with or Jim Carrey with hot pink hair in a green spandex suit.
Comparing it to Jim Carrey's Riddler, yeah, this is much better. I have problems with this Riddler, but we'll get into that as we go into it. Just off the bat, I don't like how they just made him hush, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
kinda,
I mean,
We'll get into that.
That's understandable that he is taking character beats from other characters. But I can still respect what they did with Riddler in this film. It reminds me a whole lot of Spider-Man Homecoming, what they did for Vulture. Like, you took a villain that was kind of mad to just absolute laughing stock, you know, and they actually made them intimidating and interesting. I enjoyed that.
I wouldn't say Riddler was a laughing stock, per se. Just depending on the version you're talking about. Like, because the animated series in the Arkham universe, I thought Riddler was great. I didn't like his getup. I could have done without the all green jacket and the question marks and the goofy bowler hat.
Yeah.
But I mean, I could appreciate them taking Riddler more seriously in a darker tone. I just think that there were a few things that didn't quite click. But I don't want to discuss that right now. We'll move on. What happened after this scene? Because I can't remember.
After they got out of the investigation, Batman went home. That's when Something in the Way starts playing. He drives home and he goes to look at his cameras through his contact lenses, and he goes on another monologue.
Right.
Oh yeah, Detective Vision.
Oh yeah.
Right, Detective Vision. And that was our introduction to Alfred.
Yeah, because there was a cipher for the riddles at the crime scene of I think it was the mayor or some shit that Riddler beat to death with a fucking, like pry tool.
It was a mayoral candidate.
Yeah.
He was running for mayor.
I
don't know
think
if
he was running for
re-election.
re-election. I
Yeah.
could be wrong, but
Yeah, no, because he was like, the reason why Riddler was all pissy about it was like, he was buddy with Thomas Wayne shit, and like, kind of shit like that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, he killed him with a carpet tucker, I think is what it was.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was. And was it after that scene Batman and Gordon found the thumb drive?
Yeah, so him and Alfred, they decipher the clue, and they get, I think they come up to the answer of being thumb drive, and Riddler cut off...
Drive.
Yeah,
It's
it was
just
drive.
drive, yeah.
And wedged in the tire of the mayor candidate's, like, garage's car, like, because he's got, like, a car collection, one of the tires just has a thing wedged into it, and Batman's talking to Gordon, and Riddler cut the guy's thumb off and attached it to a USB, so it was a thumb drive.
And Batman delivers the rawest line with that, because there's like, oh man, there's a computer and has encrypted files on it, and then it's like, maybe this is the encryption, a thumb drive. And Gordon's like, you fucking asshole.
Yeah, Gordon was just like, Jesus Christ, man, that's a human thumb.
Yeah, and I just wanted to bring mention to this. I immediately, as soon as I saw a thumb drive and a computer, I knew something bad was going to happen. Because I'm an IT major, and I have learned very quickly, you do not just plug in random thumb drives into a computer unless it's a burner machine with nothing on it.
Yeah.
They plug that shit into Gordon's personal computer, was it? Because it sends out files through Gordon's email.
Yeah.
To the
It
press.
sends out files to every single, like, news outlet in Gotham, of which there's, like, a dozen plus.
Yeah, and the
I know
pictures...
this is Batman in his...
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, the pictures.
Yeah,
I was going to say, I know it's Batman in his early years, but that was a really stupid fucking move.
Yeah, the pictures that were sent out to all the news outlets was of the mayor that was murdered. It was of him leaving the Iceberg Lounge, which is ran by some very powerful people in Gotham. He was leaving the Iceberg Lounge with just some random lady, and she was beat to shit. So
Yes.
there was a lot of speculation looking at those pictures immediately, how dirty the mayor actually was and how fucked up a person he could have been. But Batman was like, all right, I gotta see what's going on here. So then he goes to the Iceberg Lounge, and that's where shit gets interesting.
Yeah, because we're introduced not only to Selina Kyle, Catwoman, but we're also introduced to the Penguin, and I believe we get name dropped by Carmine Falcone, but I don't know if we actually meet him at that point.
The bouncers of the Iceberg Lounge are also those twins. I forget what their names are in the comics, but it was just two twin bouncers. I think they're supposed to be twins from the comics. I forget what they were, because it's not Mr. Hammer and Mr. Sickle, but...
Yeah, I was about to say, they aren't Mr. Hammer and Mr. Sickle,
No.
are they? Because that's a really weird design change.
Yeah.
Real classic
I'm not
reference,
familiar
too.
with the twins.
Yeah, but, so he goes in the Iceberg Lounge, and Batman going into a club with techno music weirdly fits. Like, it's surprisingly, it's a great scene.
And he just starts beating
Yeah.
ass because,
Well,
Batman
yeah,
can't go 5 seconds without punching someone.
Yeah.
And then we're introduced to Penguin, who, hold on, I actually don't know that guy's name.
Colin Farrell.
That was Colin Farrell, yeah. Yeah, Colin Farrell, who... I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Danny DeVito, but I think he nailed Penguin pretty well.
I think he made a great Penguin, but it's just funny that they took, like, an extremely naturally sexy actor and had to put him under, like, 20 pounds of prosthetics to make him as ugly as Penguin.
Yeah, because Penguin's supposed to be ugly.
Yeah. And then you get
they'll just show you the
pick
lengths
Colin Farrell.
Hollywood will go to not hire an ugly person.
That's true. It's like, okay, Colin, you're perfect for the role of Penguin. He's like, what? I look nothing like the Penguin. It's like, exactly. So we're gonna have you in the makeup chair for about 4 hours. He's like, okay.
Oh my god, yeah, this man's like a stud.
Yeah.
He's got like dad vibes to him.
Yeah, no, Colin Farrell looks
wow.
nothing like the Penguin. Like, the makeup they did was fantastic. Like
It doesn't even look like the same person.
it really doesn't.
But I can't remember. Does Batman beat the crap out of the Penguin or just his goons?
No, he
just
just beats
the
the crap
goon.
out
Oh,
of
he
his
threatens
goons.
Yeah, Penguin diffuses the situation and is like, hey, come on, boys, let's go talk up in my little glass box up here. And then Batman gets a little information.
Batman actually, after fighting like the guards and stuff, and he's beaten like 4 or 5 people up at this point. He turns around and has his like elbow reared back, and he was about to punch Penguin. He's like, "Whoa there, sweetheart, you looking for me?"
Yeah. And then we're introduced to Selena Kyle, Zoe Kravitz.
God damn.
A double. I gotta say, her dressed up as an exotic dancer was a little on the nose, but DC has done that I don't know how many times in the past 70 years, so it wasn't surprising. I didn't get the wigs. Is that like a gentleman's club thing? Or do they just wear wigs?
I don't know. Maybe they're
I
just a
think
bunch
it
of
just-
tight asses and like, women with short hair. I don't know.
Well, she already has short hair.
Well, I think it might have been just because of like the consistency of hair, because Zoe Kravitz, I think she's mixed. I'm pretty sure, or she might just be entirely black, and like the texture of hair in different people is different. So like I guess having wigs it's just an easier way for her to have different textured hair and like different colored hair easier. Because a lot of people just wear wigs even if they don't like are missing hair or anything. Some people just like wearing wigs.
I don't know what people do. I'm not social.
Oh, the wigs
or
look good though.
knowledgeable of anything.
They do look good.
cool. Yeah.
I was just curious because she only wears them in the clubs.
Well, I think
Yeah.
it says like
It's
gotta be
disguises
that's why I
and
was-
stuff like.
That's what I was trying to figure out. Because does she even go by her real name? I don't think she goes by her real name.
Probably
in the clubs,
not.
I wouldn't.
I definitely
Horrible
wouldn't.
idea.
does she? Okay. Just make
Yeah, I think it's just like
consider
a,
what happens to her friend.
disguise thing. Because there's scenes in
Right.
the movie where she's disguised and like passes by Penguin and he doesn't recognize her.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But opinions on Zoe Kravitz as Selena?
Very good.
Oh yeah, fantastic.
Very
Catwoman.
good.
Absolutely.
And not just
fantastic.
because she's hot. No, it was actually a very interesting character. Like she had a lot of layers to her. And honestly, this is probably just me. I like a Catwoman that has more of a level head. I don't like insane Catwoman. It's crazy bitch. I don't like that.
Oh, crazy Catwoman. Yeah. No, I definitely liked her take on the character.
Well, Crazy Catwoman's a very rare occurrence. The only interpretation I've ever seen was Batman Returns' Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman. That's the only one I've ever seen where she was actually crazy. Every other time she's just a thief. Or crazy in a different sense, as in, yeah, she's got problems.
Yeah, and
as in, she needs to go to therapy.
And I enjoy this Catwoman more for the sake that it's way easier to associate her with more of a like good person doing bad things instead of just like a cat burglar who's also just kind of cool. Sometimes the Batman, she just tries to steal money and get a lot of just, the money saved up just so her and her friend could get out of Dodge. It's not even for the fact that she's greedy or wants money. She does it for an actually good reason, and I really enjoy that.
That's why Batman, tracks down Catwoman in the first place. Is in the club, he's showing Penguin the pictures of the mayor and this one random chick coming out of the iceberg land. He's like, I'm just the proprietor. I don't know what people do in here. And, he's lying through his fucking teeth. And at that time, Selina walks in and serves them drinks. And she sees the photos and she tries to hide it. She has a bit of a poker face, but, Batman can tell that, she knows something. And then he fucking... he goes into the drifter outfit and immediately, fucking peers into her house with binoculars, which was weird as shit.
Yeah, it's like, Jesus
he watches
Christ,
her get
Batman.
changed.
Yeah,
he watches her get changed.
Yeah, but she doesn't, strip fully, but it's still Jesus Christ, you could at least look away for a second.
God damn. Yeah, but that really does show early Batman really didn't have any respect for a lot. He was basically just I gotta solve this case. I don't give a shit how weird I am or, what the fuck I do. I gotta do it.
I think it's also just because Batman
Batman
probably has very little exposure to women during this time.
That too.
No sex. No sex. Only justice.
The entire movie, whenever he is talking to Catwoman or she touches him, it looks like his face is saying, try not to challenge hard.
Hey, 30 minutes in our first drop. I'm proud of us.
Oh, shit.
I'm so proud.
30 minutes. Look, Susan isn't going to see this. It's fine. The
Susan,
CEO of
what?
YouTube. She's not going to know.
Susan
Wojak
okay. Or whatever.
Yeah, I just call her
was-
Wojak because I cannot pronounce her Polish ass last
That was
name.
too deep of a reference for me. Anak, what was her friend's name? Anika?
Annika.
Annika?
Yeah. Annika. Yeah, Annika. Yeah, she's just... Oh, God. What was that kid's name? I don't remember because they never use her. That was basically their own version of, the little girl that Selina usually cares for in the comics. She was oh, God, I can't remember her name. But that was basically their version of it, only she's, Selina's age.
Yeah, I think they're in a relationship at that part of the movie.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
it wasn't really, it was kind of implied.
I was getting that
but
vibe,
it was
too.
never, dropped. And then eventually she just started going straight in for Batman, which,
I
granted...
can't blame her.
Which, granted, Catwoman's usually promiscuous to begin with. That's kind of her dealio. But,
This was...
I think it was just, fine either way. It was a girlfriend, just trying to be a helpful person. I don't really think it mattered much either way.
To be fair,
she's still being a kind person.
When she started showing interest
I think
in
the
Batman,
director...
the Annika character had already, I think, been killed. Or at least disappeared entirely.
She was being flirty with Batman, but Catwoman flirts with
That's
literally
true.
everyone, so it's not out of the
Yeah.
ordinary. But yeah, she shows interest afterwards.
Yes.
She moved on fast. But yeah, she is bisexual in this film. The director confirmed that. But she's been bisexual in the comics for the past 50 years.
Correct me if I'm wrong. So he sees her change into the Catwoman suit. That's when he follows her to one of the crime scenes, isn't it? Where she breaks into the safe.
The mayor's office.
The mayor's office.
Yeah, it's the mayor's house,
Yes.
I think. Yeah, the mayor's house. She actually goes to his house.
She's trying to take back Annika's passport.
Yes.
Because he had it.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
then
locked up in the
Batman
safe.
drops in on her and he's like, "You're good at that." As she's cracking the safe, and then she tries to kick him repeatedly, and he stops her. And then they hear the police coming, so they he fucking basically just grabs her and covers her mouth and stuff, and waits till the cop leaves. But did the beginning steps of when you fucking stealth takedown in one of the Arkham games, just shut.
That's what I thought he was doing at first. Legit, I didn't hear anything, so I thought it was oh my god, he's just gonna choke her out and take her back to the Batcave or something. But no, he was actually trying to protect her. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
okay. That was not the direction I thought this was going.
Try not to challenge.
Hell, that was probably Catwoman in that scene saying that. Fucking having giant arms wrapped around you and shit. Fucking. If I was Zoe Kravitz and Robert Pattinson embraced me like that, I would 100% be in that position.
She hadn't seen his face though, so I mean, she could have been getting the other kind of vibes.
That's also true.
From that.
I mean, it's like the reverse mask thing. A mask covers up your nose down. He just had the nose up covered. It's I don't know what your eyes look like.
Yeah, but she could tell from the jawline.
I mean, yeah, he did have a sweet jawline. It's true.
Yeah. And then after he lets her go, after the cop goes away, like she chills out and stops trying to beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, they sort of that's sort of when they kind of get their uneasy truce
Yes.
because
I'll help you find
go
Annika
back.
if you help me with the case.
Yeah.
because they head back and Annika's missing and they're like, all right, well we need to investigate the Iceberg Lounge because she explains to him there's a secret like underground club within the club. Getting a little inception there. It was like below zero or the freezing temp.
Yeah, below
lounge,
zero, I
something
think
like
is what
that.
it's called.
Yeah, below zero, and they go looking for Annika, but she ends up running into Carmine Falcone, and they can't make up their fucking mind on how they want to say that man's name in the film because some people say Falcone, some people say Falcone.
So-
I think it was.
It's Falcone.
I think it was Falcone the entire film, from what I remember. But I don't know why they changed it.
I don't know.
It's weird to change.
I could have sworn someone called him Falcone.
But yeah, Batman enlists Catwoman's help, so she'll go into the club within the club because she knows about it, and obviously Batman can't punch his way down there again. And he gives.
Oh, let's be real. He could.
yeah.
He just doesn't.
Well, that's the thing is like I like how he is the. I'll get into that later, but like he goes in the Iceberg Lounge 3 times as Bruce, as Batman, and as the Drifter, using status, strength, or stealth. So it shows his different approaches getting in, which I like. But he sends in Catwoman, and she's wearing a disguise. It's, she's wearing a wig, like fucking dancer girl outfit, and he gave her a pair of the contacts he has that like records video, which is actually one of my favorite Batman gadgets I've ever seen in any film.
I really think that was neat because I've never seen. Okay, I have seen it before. Not in any of this kind of media. In the comics, I believe Nightwing, and when he's on his own and in Bloodhaven, I think they call that the Blue Eyes thing. It's basically his own version of Detective Mode, but he can't call it Detective Mode because Batman
The
would beat him up.
trademark.
So, yeah, he trademarked that, and you don't want to get copyrighted by Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
So, that was basically the same thing.
Right.
Only they were also just happened to record.
Yeah.
What can't they do? Maybe
so
make
then,
toast.
like he makes her have eye contact with the people down there longer, so he can get a visual ID, and he sees one of the guys he broke the dude's nose the time he went to the Iceberg Lounge, and it turns out that guy works for GCPD. And then she ends up he forces her to talk to the DA because he sees her, and the guy who looks like Phil Coulson. He also basically has the moment where he's like, try not to challenge hard.
No, Dylan, no, not Phil Coulson. Gil, his name is Gil Coulson in the film.
I thought you were saying he looked like Phil Coulson because longer head, bald. But,
I mean, kind of.
yeah, Gil Coulson, my bad. And she kind of like flirts with him and stuff, gets information, and then she basically hears information where she's just like, I gotta go, and she rips the contacts out, which upsets Batman because Batman wanted her to do his mission. She's like, no, I'm here to look for my friend. I already told you that.
Yeah, because he was pressing her about Falcone.
Yeah.
Because Falcone showed up, and then he's like, okay, these two know each other, and I want to know how.
And then
And Batman was expecting a sugar daddy, when in reality it was
actual daddy.
Daddy.
Yeah.
just... yeah.
And then Gil Coulson, who was 100% about to give it all up for the Kravitz ussy, he heads out. He sees her outside and asks her if she needs a ride, and she says no. He goes back to his car, and the Riddler's in the back seat, and
Christ.
which is a terrifying thought. And then Batman follows Selina in a cab. Correct me if I'm right. I think that's how that went. It's hard to figure. It's hard to like piece together the exact sequence of the scenes because it's been like
she
2
went in a
weeks.
cab
they-
and he followed.
They get...
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember where it went after that. Fun fact, the Wikipedia plot synopsis sucks because they jump straight to the part where he has a bomb collar.
Which isn't that doesn't take too much longer, but it's not there yet.
So yeah, Batman was following Selina in her taxi for a little bit, and
Doesn't
where'd
he
that
go
lead
to Gordon because he talks to him about the corrupt cop?
yeah, I think he does go there. And then not long after that, We should probably start jumping around a little bit anyway, otherwise we're going to be here
That's
for
true.
a little bit longer than intended. But anyway, we'll jump a little bit forward because there probably is some shit in the middle that we're forgetting. But we're going to go ahead and get to the funeral. Yes, the funeral for the mayor.
The funeral for the mayor.
Where he actually shows up as Bruce Wayne this time. He's not like Drifter or Batman.
God,
He's actually
it's
Bruce Wayne.
Because he's expecting something to happen.
Yeah, and so he comes in, and then he thinks he sees Selina with Carmine. It's like, what the fuck? And then he starts walking up, and then Penguin is like, hey, yo, rich boy! And he's going to beat the shit out of Bruce Wayne. And it's like, hey, he's with me. And then, they just start reminiscing about the good old days, about how Carmine's life was saved by Thomas Wayne. And then you could just see the look on Bruce's eyes, like, I don't give a singular fuck about you, dude. It's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, and it escalates. He goes to the funeral, but it escalates really quickly because
Gil
Coulson comes barreling through the funeral
in
home
his SUV that he got kidnapped in.
Yeah, his SUV. He flops out, and they see the bomb, and they evacuate the building. And Batman ends up helping him solve some riddles.
Oh, yeah, because he had a
Riddler's
fucking phone taped to his hand.
Yeah.
Riddler was calling.
Yeah,
Riddler was FaceTime.
So Riddler wanted him to solve 3 riddles, and he got to take the bomb off. Unfortunately, Riddler is a cuck and decided to really drag out the game because Gil Coulson was a little too afraid to give out his informants and how he exactly how he got his millions, because some really black market shady stuff went down.
Yeah,
which Riddler does deliver. One of my favorite riddles he does is he's like, if you are justice, please do not lie. What is the price for your blind eye? I just fucking love that riddle. Just the way he delivers it, because he has like a fucking really he's projecting his voice as much as possible to say
it was a really intense scene, and I one of my favorites of the film.
Yeah. So the third,
unfortunately, Gil Coulson perishes because he's again too much of a bitch to reveal.
And he blows up right in front of Batman.
And Batman just burgers that
like
shit.
He really does.
Not even a laceration on the man's chin.
Nah, he just eats it.
Just eats it.
So important note, by the way, that is we kind of forgot is. Near the beginning of the film, there was a mention of this massive drug bust where
Salvatore Maroni.
Yeah, Maroni was busted for this huge drug ring, and so at this moment in time, we finally figure out, at the funeral doing the riddles, we finally figure out that whole entire Maroni case was did really dirty, informants on the inside, paid off cops. A lot of shit going down with that whole entire Maroni case.
The biggest drug bust in GCPD history was a sham.
Yeah.
A bunch of cops were involved with Maroni's drug dealings, and when the heat started coming on, the cops turned tail and turned rat. That was the question that Gil Coulson died over, because he wouldn't give that up.
Yeah. So who exactly was the rat that got this whole entire ball rolling? We don't know, because Phil Coulson fucking died.
It's not really important, but I was going to mention, before you actually see the car drive through into the funeral, and Bruce actually saves a 10-year-old. He was the son of one of the victims that Riddler had already killed.
The mayor.
Private.
Yeah, it was the mayor.
And Batman Bruce looks up at a balcony within the church, and he sees the Riddler, and that's when he realizes, fuck. And then the fucking car comes crashing through. Bruce saves the kid. They fucking evacuate the building. Batman's like, all right, time to do riddles. Another thing with funeral. There's this one cop, Officer Martinez. At the beginning, when Batman shows up with Gordon at the crime scene, he calls him a fucking freak and tells him to move it, pencil neck. But then when he sees him as Bruce, he's like, oh my god, Mr. Wayne. He's just he's so nice and handsome. It's just funny how it's like, wow, you have no idea what you've done, my guy.
Very weak constitution on that man. So, after the bomb goes off, Batman unfortunately passes out and ends up in the GCPD. Somehow, no one ever took off the cowl while he was out, and when they attempt to, he snaps away.
Yeah, and then he
gets a massive boner once it happens.
The trip from the funeral home to the police station, no one thought, not once, to try to take it off.
Probably personally took him in his car, if I had to bet.
That's true, but still.
It is funny that they waited until that scene. But yeah, they try to take off the cowl, and Batman starts throwing hands. And the chief of police is like, "You're gonna defend this guy, Jim?" He's like, "I got
And his
you."
voice fucking makes him sound like a prick.
You gotta defend this guy, Jim. After all I've done for you and your family, you're gonna do this to me?
And then he's like,
I'm gonna make you an offer you can't
he says
refuse.
to Batman, "I got you assaulting on an officer," and then Batman says, "Make it 3."
He's about to
So
beat
then-
him up.
so
And then Gordon grabs him by the neck and just pins him up and is like, "Hey! It's not you do this!"
This is how you do this, man. I got this, Chief. I'll sort this out. So they give Gordon and Batman the room, and they're like, "We gotta get you out." And Gordon's like, "We gotta get you out of here, man."
You punch me.
Yeah. So then,
Punch me in the face.
that's when Batman. I had my fucking scenes mixed up. That's when Batman's like, "Who's the mustache with the broken nose?" And he looks over at the cop who he had broken his nose in the Iceberg Lounge. He's like, "You're saying Mackenzie moonlights as a fucking one of Penguin's thugs?" He's like, "No, I think he moonlights as a cop." And then after he gets that information, Batman absolutely fucking decks Gordon in the face with a right hook, drops him. I mean, drops him.
And then he runs
And books it
away
out the police
in
station.
such the most unhero-like running away I've
It
ever
was
seen.
the most fuck. I have to
Yeah,
do-
because he's booking it.
He's
gotta get out of there.
100 cops chasing after him because as soon as he threw that punch, everyone's like, "Oh, what the?" And they're trying to rush the room, and he starts running. It is the most I need to get out of Dodge run I have ever seen. He fucking gets to a stairwell after Gordon told him where it was. He grapples up to it, is getting shot at and stuff, makes it to the roof, and he's on a big building, and he climbs onto a gargoyle, and he, like, because of the adrenaline, like, he wasn't thinking it, so he sees that there's a massive fucking drop. He's like, oh shit, and he pulls a thing in his suit, and it makes his cape turn into a wingsuit. And then he flies. He glides off of the building just as the police make it there. It was going fine, but then he was gonna go under a bridge, and there was already a bus there, so there was not much. There was a very little space to make it. And he pulls a chute. The chute catches on the bridge, and he got hit and rolled a good city block or two.
And they say DC movies aren't fun.
Like,
Yeah.
he hit that bus hard and just rolled down half a city block.
Yes, and then
That was
it had ripped off his cape and stuff. So he gets up and he's got this very wide, he cannot stand up straight, and he's just going, because it's not Batman. Oh, I need to be tough pain. And this is Bruce saying, "Oh fuck, that hurt a lot."
damn.
Yeah, that was Bruce crying in pain, not Batman. So it's like,
But Batman and Gordon, through that conversation, did deduce that Penguin is most likely the man they're looking for, since the cop that he busted the nose of probably since he works at the Iceberg Lounge, there's a connection there. So they go for Penguin.
there's a couple of
Batman
riddles in
tracks-
between, but yeah, we
Right.
gotta speed this up.
Yeah.
We can't break down every single scene.
There was the whole rats with what was it? The flying
Rat with
rodent
wings,
ones,
like-
Ratolata.
rat with wings. Yeah, and let me. That was so painfully obvious. Anyway, moving on. So they deduce it's Penguin. They manage to track him down during a drug deal because that's what people do when they're not banging whores and killing cops. They do drug deals, and they discovered that Maroni's operation never shut down after the drug bust. It's actually in control of Falcone. Falcone and Penguin now run Maroni's operation, and they're making bank. So, yeah, that drug bust meant nothing.
Ah, you mean the biggest
However-
drug bust in GCPD history was a lie?
So, unfortunately, Batman, before he can do anything, discovers Selina is actually in the area trying to go after the money. She's going to take the money and try to get her and Annika out of Dodge. Unfortunately, one of the bags didn't contain money. It was actually Annika's corpse.
Shit.
Given no time to grief, the goons she inadvertently exposes her and Bruce's location. So the goons start firing at him. Gordon comes in at Mach 5 and starts shooting
Oh yeah,
back at them.
Gordon comes in. It's like, "You motherfucker!" and he starts
he's
going
like,
for
"That's
heads.
my homie!"
Gordon was not fucking around.
Gordon is a real shooter
was
for
not.
Batman, and I respect it.
So Penguin attempts to flee in his car, as villains usually do. Batman finally brings out the Batmobile, and my
Shit.
hype thrusters were
Oh
set
my
to
God.
Shit
max.
gets real.
I love the
So
Batmobile
good.
in this film. It is great. And the car chase sequence, I mean, it's hard to say because I need to watch the movie again, but at this current time, that car chase sequence is my favorite scene in the film.
Oh yeah,
That
it's
is
just
fantastic.
like that was my try not to challenge hard during that entire car
it
chase.
was. And again, people say DC isn't funny. When that big pileup happens and that tanker blows up, and Penguin's thinking he's won, and then the Batmobile comes from the smoke, and he starts screaming. That was I laughed out loud. Like I was that guy in the theater at that
Penguin
point.
causes a massive pileup, and a fucking like tanker truck explodes. And he sees this fire and it's like, I got you. And Batman fucking ramps through the fire and is coming after him. And the fucking primal fear on Penguin's face. And it ends up getting to the point where Batman hits him, or Penguin gets hit by something. The car rolls like 9 times. Penguin should have died. Fucking
No,
lands,
he should have been really fucking
It
dead.
lands on his roof, and one of the best shots of the movie happens, where he's upside down, and he sees you see the camera from his upside down perspective. You see just fire everywhere, and Batman slowly walking towards him, and it is one of the best shots of the entire movie.
That's so good.
Yeah. He pulled a Sephiroth, and it was great.
And then-
Only he's walking towards you instead of
And
away
then
from you.
it cuts to a scene of them shoving Penguin against the wall, Batman and Gordon, and they have him like translate the Spanish of one of the riddles and stuff, and he's like, no hablo español, fellas, because like Riddler has like put like a error like in the riddle, but at some point that the Penguin wasn't willing to talk, so Gordon showed him pictures of his friends in the GCPD's face who had gotten eaten by a rat. He's like, oh, come on, what are you doing? Why are you showing me this? And Gordon goes, open your eyes!
Open your eyes!
Which I want as an alarm clock.
That was
So
my
after
favorite
after
line.
they confronted Penguin finally like gave them the insight to be like, do you know the difference between la and L? And then Batman is like, you are, oh my god, it's URL.
Rada Alada.
And then so it's a URL that is a Rada Alada, and it's basically just like a one-on-one private like chat room link to Riddler himself.
Yeah, which leads Batman and Gordon to the ruins of an orphanage that was funded by the Wayne Foundation.
Yes.
And they discover that Riddler, the reason his entire motivation in this film, his entire motivation for doing what he's doing is he's actually going up against the Wayne family because Thomas Wayne originally ran for mayor in the early 2000s, I think. And he was introduced like I don't know what he called it, the Thomas Wayne Act.
The
I don't
renewal
remember what it's called.
fund.
The renewal fund, yeah. And it ended up just sucking out a lot of fundings that mattered, I believe. Like, that's why the orphanage ended up going under.
Oh, I know what it was. What it was is the renewal fund existed, and it was just this big pile of money. When Thomas Wayne died, that renewal fund didn't go to jack and shit for the city.
Yeah.
It didn't go anywhere.
Oh, okay.
And Riddler's like,
Right.
and in the orphanage, it's painted the sins of the father shall be like judged upon the son,
Passed to the son.
passed to the son, and that's when Batman Gordon realized Bruce Wayne is his next target, and because he resents Bruce Wayne because he's like, you know what really being an orphan is? It's 30 kids to a room, and kids die from it being so damn cold, and shit.
Yeah. You didn't have it as bad as me, therefore
you
you
were
must
in an
suffer,
ivory
fucking
tower,
boomers.
fucking blah blah blah. And then, as they're realizing that, Batman fucking hightails it out of there in the Batmobile, and it cuts to a scene of Alfred, and he gets a package, and
That's just a fucking
it
pipe
says
bomb.
for Bruce Wayne's eyes
Yep.
only. And he's opening, and then fucking Batman he fucking is trying to call Alfred, and I think her name was Dorothy. She was like, you know, like one of the like,
housemaid,
the ladies of Wayne Manor, and he's like, I need to talk to Alfred. He's like, I think something terrible's gonna happen. She's like, something already did.
It already has.
And it's fucking
It was like, oh,
Alfred,
God.
like, it cuts the scene of Alfred opening a package, realizing it's a bomb, throwing it away. He runs and gets to, like, partial cover, but, like, he's still in the same room as an explosion.
Yeah. Yeah. At this point, Alfred's in a coma. We're led to believe he's gonna die, which is what I originally thought they were gonna do. Is like, wow, they're really going deep with this one. The Riddler somehow gives evidence that Thomas, who was running for mayor before he was murdered, hired Falcone to kill a journalist for threatening to reveal embarrassing details about Martha and her family's history of mental illnesses. Because apparently there was a rumor that Martha Wayne was just fucking crazy.
Yeah, she was
and
in and out of.
had some.
She was in and out of asylums. Yes, I think that was.
Yes,
what it was.
but not for the reasons they thought. So Thomas had Falcone silence them. Unfortunately, Falcone interprets that, or any mob boss, when they hear silence them, they hear make them sleep with the fishes. And Bruce ends up going to Falcone with this because he wants to know if it's true. And Falcone lays it out on the table for him, and Bruce isn't too happy to hear that. And eventually he does confront Alfred when he, comes out of the coma, and he does confront Alfred about it, but he tells him that Thomas would have never murdered anyone. He would have never taken Falcone. He would have never gone to Falcone if he knew that was what was going to happen.
He was scared. The idea that Alfred was laying down was, your dad was scared that people were going to know the truth about your mom and then harass her and make life a living hell just because she had a mental disorder, and he didn't want that. So he tried to just get this guy to back off with the story, but he wouldn't. So he got weak, he got desperate, he went to Falcone, and Falcone was like, this is a really good opportunity to have Thomas fucking Wayne in the palm of my hand. So I'm going to kill this guy and make it look like Thomas had me do it, so he would be dirty as fuck.
Yeah,
so
he
now
wanted him in his pocket.
And what's messed up is that ultimately this would have never hurt Thomas's campaign. It really it would have been a smear campaign, but it wouldn't. All it would have done was ruin Martha Wayne's picture to the public.
Yo, this bitch
People
crazy.
would have looked at her, differently. But it wouldn't have done anything for his election. So, Batman eventually meets back up with Selina. I don't remember how. He eventually runs into Selina again, and she finds out the truth of Falcone being Selina's father, which, if you're very knowledgeable of different Batman universes, you knew that already. I didn't, but I went to the theater with someone who knows a lot about Batman, and she told me ahead of time, so we kind of knew it was coming. And I don't remember how this came out, but she put 2 and 2 together that Falcone was the one who killed Annika. I know how they find out, I just don't remember if Batman pulled that or if Gordon pulled that, because she made a phone call to Selina. She made a phone call to Selina and left it to voicemail, and Batman and Gordon managed to figure out, I was like, yeah, that's Falcone that choked her to death. So now Selina's on this murder boner rampage to go and kill Falcone. It leads to a really fun sequence in the Iceberg Lounge where she's fighting Falcone.
Yeah, there's a sequence where he's
else outside
in the Iceberg Lounge, and as the power goes out. So Batman is in a fucking completely dark room, and the only thing that is illuminating him is the muzzle flashes of guns being fired at him as he beats the shit out of multiple people.
Oh, that's
a great scene.
That's good
cinematography. Great scene. Resident Evil did it first. Anyway, Batman makes his way down the hall and manages to stop Selina from killing Falcone. Unfortunately, it's a victory that doesn't last very long, because as soon as Falcone steps out into a street light,
bring the rat into the light.
Riddler just snipes him.
Yeah, just fuck that guy. Just brains on the wall.
Yeah, bring the rat into the light. And unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, fortunately, they managed to catch Riddler in a nearby cafe, because he wanted to be caught, but we ain't got there yet. The Riddler is unmasked. They find out, he's just some nerd. He got his coffee to be a question mark. I don't know. But he's locked up. We did it. The day is saved. Batman can go home.
And then along comes Act 3
get some of that
the movie.
Kravuzzi, or whatever that Dylan called it.
Yeah, and then oh wait, shit, there's 20 minutes left.
Yeah, so how did this come down? Riddler talks with Batman in the prison.
Yeah,
asylum. For a few minutes. And learns that Riddler actually idolizes Batman in a way. Completely unaware of who he is. Or no, actually.
He knows exactly who he is.
He doesn't realize Batman is Bruce Wayne.
Camera.
Yeah, he was saying
and that
Bruce
goes
Wayne
nowhere.
About that.
He thought he had this delusion that him and Batman were working together, and he was saying Bruce Wayne because he was fixated on that. Bruce was the only one they didn't get. He didn't kill Bruce.
Yeah, because I was about to say, that doesn't make any sense. If you knew who Batman was, why did he try to kill Bruce Wayne if he idolizes Batman?
There's the whole entire note in the apartment that says, I know who
I think
you
that's
are.
just referring to Batman's violent... Yeah.
No, because he sees himself in Batman.
Yes.
He sees him. He thinks him and Batman have the same mission. That's what he means.
The reason,
He's
the
like,
reason they have that
you're
scene
not a
set that
hero.
way
You're
is
someone
when
who
he
gets
says,
something done, like I am.
Bruce Wayne. You can see Batman's trying to hide it, but there is like panic in his eyes and shit because he's like, "Fuck." Because obviously, if Riddler knows his fucking identity, then everything's fucked. And then it's, he figures out that Riddler doesn't know who he is.
Right.
And Riddler finds out that Batman did not solve all the riddles. And that means you can't finish Arkham Knight.
He got really pissed off. It's like, no, you don't get it. You don't. I thought you were better than this.
Yeah. So he eventually goes back to his Twitch streamer room.
Oh,
and
shit.
He uses the carpet tucker that killed the mayor to dig up the only bit of carpet in the room, and he finds the real final toccata of this plan. Riddler wanted to get caught because he's safe. The rest of the city isn't, because he has placed 7 vans around the city with bombs. They blow up, and the seawall around Gotham starts to flood the whole city. Now, Batman has to race against time to not only help people who are being flooded, but he's also got to save the new mayor from being assassinated by Riddler's army of Twitch followers.
Yeah, he's got to save the mayor from all of his Facebook conspiracy theorists that he's got going on his live streams that are encrypted.
Yeah, I gotta say, and it's scary how accurate this shit was.
Oh
to real
yeah,
life.
it's just it's a literal terrorist going on a streaming site and getting people all together to go literally assault the masses and kill people. It's like, oh yeah, shit, that could totally happen.
The next time you think 20 followers isn't a lot on Twitch, this happens.
I mean, the Riddler was on TikTok during the bomb threat. Like the bomb scene.
He was on TikTok and Twitch because he does. I think he did both because they had the TikTok UI, but then there was near the end when he puts it together. They're going to murder the new mayor. I swear that's just Twitch, just less purple.
Yeah, less purple. It's true.
Unless that's desktop TikTok. I've never used TikTok on desktop. Desktop. So this leads to a fantastic final scene where Batman has to protect the mayor from being shot, all while juggling the cops, Gordon, the flood, the oncoming flood, and saving people from drowning to death in the building, and also trying to keep the mayor alive while beating up Riddler's incel brigade, or whatever you want to call them.
They get into a stadium in the final sequence.
Yeah, it was really fun.
The building's starting to flood. Riddler's incel snipers are fucking shooting things. And Batman goes on a fucking rampage. Batman beats the shit out of like 20 goons. He takes one of their guns and uses it as a club.
Beating ass.
And beats people with it. Catwoman actually tried to get out of the city,
great.
but the cops are like, listen, lady, you gotta go in there because the streets are flooded. So she goes in there. And around that time is when Batman gets gut shot with a double-barrel shotgun. And it sends him reeling off of the elevated platform. And he manages to catch himself, but it's like, it's not looking good. My man just tanked a gut shot. Like, he's probably got multiple broken ribs. So then Gordon sees this and is like, how do I get up there? And Selina's nearby enough to hear this. She, knocks the guy down or something, helps him up.
While he's, reloading a double-barrel shotgun literally as slowly as humanly possible.
And she knocks him down and helps Batman up.
Yeah.
And there's this unintentionally comic scene where he's just looking her in the eyes, and then she just gets, fucking knocked out of the way by the guy. And Batman's, still, everything is, green for him. And while on the ground, while Selina's getting the shit beaten out of her by this, Riddler incel, Batman just takes up this green vial of what I presume is adrenaline or something and injects it into himself, and my man fucking goes sicko mode, tackles the guy and just beats the shit out of him. He was coming close to shattering his skull with his bare hands. And then Gordon and Catwoman pull him off, and they unmask the guy, and his face looks like an apple. It looks like a cherry pie that got hit with a sledgehammer.
I mean, it's
and he's laughing.
It looks like if someone just beat the shit out of some meatloaf.
And they say, who are you? And he says, I'm vengeance. And that's when Batman realizes, because the entire film, Mainly people have referred to him as Vengeance, because that's what he's been. He's been violent, he's been aggressive, things like that. And that's when Batman realized, he's like, this is not what I want. I've accidentally inspired these fucking incels and shit.
Yeah.
And then it goes to Batman actually, doing more than just detective work and beating people until they'll have to eat through a straw for the rest of their life. And he literally activates a red flare and literally is the beacon of light that leads people to safety as the room is getting progressively more flooded.
I would say, just to get a little deeper here, that's when he went from vigilante to hero. Because then he saved that little kid again. It's like the third time they interacted. First time was at the crime scene of his own dad's death at the beginning.
That kid should be Robin. But
I think that's what they're setting up, is that he's going to be Robin, which I prefer they just do it right. But I mean, if they want to do it differently, I'm fine with that. I just hope they do it well. But this first film gives me hope for that. But to wrap up the plot,
I do think Robin could work in this.
He can
in this.
He absolutely. And Matt Reeves, the director, does want to do Robin. He does.
Yeah.
So the only problem is he also wants to do Hush, and it's like, you already did Hush, but we'll get into that in a second. To wrap up the plot and actually get into a few final things before we end this, because I still want to get into what we like and what we didn't like about the film, because I'd say we went into what we liked pretty good. So Batman, I think it's like a day after or something, the following morning as the sun's rising, because it was a long night, Batman and Catwoman go their separate ways because Selina's like, this place is fucked. It is a cesspool. It is not worth saving.
This city is doomed.
I'm out of here. But Batman, being Batman, can't leave Gotham.
He's stubborn as fuck.
But he was tempted. My man's thought about giving up Gotham for the Kravitz Sussy, and I can't blame him.
He did. So he goes out of his way to assist in the recovery efforts, and he then has a new mission to not just inspire fear into the criminals, but to inspire hope into the people of Gotham. And that right there is just the perfect way to end the film, with more Nirvana.
Yeah, more Nirvana.
Yeah, with more Nirvana.
And then the movie was a 2 out of 10 because there was no end credit sequence and it wasn't funny.
What was? Yeah, I could have sworn there was going to be an end credit sequence. I looked it up as like, oh, they like do an interview with the cast or something. I was like, I don't give a fuck about that. I can look that up on YouTube.
Yeah, as someone who watches Marvel movies, how am I supposed to like the movie if Batman doesn't go, "I'm vengeance"? That sounded better in my head. Like,
and then nods at the camera.
Yeah.
That was The Office. He looks at camera. Open your eyes. Looks at camera.
Just gives the Jim look to the camera.
God.
I'm aware of the effect I have on criminals. So, when you look back at it, the plot is not super deep. We just loved talking about everything we loved about the film. So, the final things we need to discuss now is things you didn't like about the movie. Do you guys have anything you didn't like? Because I have very little things that I disliked. I think this movie was a solid 9 out of 10. Easily.
There's a couple of things I think that could have been improved by the rating of the movie being changed. And what I mean by that is I feel like this movie could have benefited a little bit more in its storytelling and what it wanted to do and how characters interact. I feel like it could have been elevated if it was rated R. But I do realize how much of like a financial shit show it is to have an R-rated movie. Like, you're lucky to have a movie that's rated R do super well. Because like Joker and shit like that was a very huge exception to that.
Yeah.
It does suck that the PG-13 rating kind of sapped the life out of some scenes whenever it came to like how intense it was and how fucked up it can get. Because Batman's fucked up, to be honest. Let's be real here.
Well, you can go far with a PG-13 rating, though, because as long as you don't show on full frontal nudity and say fuck more than once, you're good. Like, anything else really goes.
Yeah,
I think there could have been a bit more intensity to the characters, not just because of, everyone saying fuck. I feel like with more higher stakes and more, like, bloody fucked up shit going on and getting really deep into that kind of stuff. I feel like that could have elevated in some scenes. Because I found a little bit jarring that it was just a fucking, like, $30 explosion prop whenever the guy just blew up. There was no blood or anything, just lights and sounds. Like, shit, that was a little bit empty comparatively to other people blowing the fuck up.
But they never show him after he blew up, though. They just cut to Batman and then he blacks out.
He was probably a very charred corpse.
to me, Batman doesn't need to be extremely gory.
Well, no.
Not for me, because they never were. Even in the comics' darkest interpretations, I don't think they've ever gotten that demented. But I can understand that. You want them to go. You just want them to go full throttle into the darkness because that's what Batman is. And a movie like this that promises to be like one of the darkest interpretations of the character, I can see why you would want that.
Yeah, but it's such a small complaint. It's very minute in the grand scheme. I don't think it changes that much.
Well, is there anything else that you think you didn't like about the film? Before we go to Dylan?
Off the top of my head, not really. There is so much I really enjoy about this film. The pacing, the characters, the writing, the casting. It's all really good stuff. I enjoy basically just all of it in general. The movie is really fucking dark. And not even just tone-wise. I mean, my eyeballs.
Visually.
Me and Dylan went to go see the movie for the first time, a month ago or so at this point. And we walked out and it was still daytime. I was like, oh my god, I'm blind. Ugh.
Yeah,
it's
really
only daylight in that movie for
I was lucky I got
minutes.
an evening showing.
Of a 3-hour film.
Well, what about you, Dylan? You got any problems with the film? Things you think they could have done better?
Things I would want to see in a sequel is I really wanted. I like the idea of Robin finally potentially being done well on the big screen.
Yes.
A lot more Bruce Wayne shit.
Big agree. I think they're going to touch that.
I do understand y'all wanting more Alfred, more Bruce Wayne, but at the end of the day, I'm like, the movie's called The Batman, not the Bruce Wayne or the Alfred.
The Alfred.
Well, Bruce Wayne is a part of Batman's life. He does productive shit as Bruce Wayne, and you wouldn't know that by just watching the movies, but he does. But yeah, I get that. I understand. Some people, this is the movie for you because he's barely Bruce Wayne at all. So I mean, there's plenty of people out there who prefer that, Dylan. So for me. Hopes for the sequel is about the same as you guys. I want Robin. I want them to explore a bit more with that and make it happen. But problems. My only issue with the film is I just don't. I don't like how they made Riddler hush, and also anarchy at the same time. I get that the Riddler is one of what can be interpreted as one of the sillier villains in Batman, but I think they can make him serious without changing everything he is. But I'm very 50-50 on it because I do have that problem because again, it's like, why would you want to do Hush for the sequel, which isn't confirmed. It's just something he's throwing around. When you technically just did Hush, like a abridged version of Hush, but definitely Hush. Because Hush also has the whole vendetta against Bruce Wayne and everything, because he's got everything and he doesn't. So Riddler, it was fine. I can live with it. It doesn't offend me or anything. It's just I wish they'd actually made it a little closer to what Riddler normally is. But, that's the joy of these movies, is that they're adaptions, Just different interpretations. So it's interesting. I just hope that it doesn't make any other future villain feel redundant or keep them from using another villain purely because it's like, well, we already kind of did that because we made Riddler do this. So
I think for the best for a sequel, I think the best thing we can do in the next film, I think the best thing that they can do in the next film is just more or less just trying to find a character with a whole entire different motive or reasoning to do what they do instead of it being like a politically charged one or just Bruce Wayne. I feel like is the
that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I can understand wanting a different motivation. I think the movie was fantastic. I'm really, really looking forward to the sequel. And I think that's my thoughts at least on the Batman. Definitely top 5. Probably top 3.
Go watch it on HBO Max right the fuck now if you haven't seen it in theaters because it's fantastic.
Yes.
I think it's just as
also,
good, if not better, than The Dark Knight.
why did you listen to this podcast if you ain't seen it?
Oh, it's definitely better than The Dark Knight in my opinion, but that's another discussion for another day.
Oh, yeah. That one's going to get some heat, I think.
Oh, I love Dark Knight, the one with Joker. I don't like Dark Knight Rises. That one will probably get me some heat.
Dark Knight Rises is definitely one of the low points of the trilogy. It's still fine, but following up The Dark Knight was a tough act.
Hot take, Batman Begins is the best one of the trilogy.
It is good. It is really good, but Dark Knight, Heath Ledger's performance just elevates Dark Knight.
But Liam Neeson, though.
Liam Neeson's badass, don't get me wrong. But yeah, the Batman, top 3 for me.
I need to watch it again, but it is easily a 9 out of 10. Fantastic movie, and I can't wait to watch it again. Love it. I'm glad Batman's taken people actually like Batman again. So, yeah, I guess that's it. Nathan, you want to wrap us up?
Yep. All right. Thank you for listening,
Plugs?
everybody. This was basically just a movie review. I don't give a shit. I don't think any of us do. So hope you had fun listening to it. We're a little bit over than usual. Like, actually a lot over than usual, but who cares? So if you want to find
15 minutes, who
any of
cares?
us on social media, we're all on Twitter. You can find it in the channel Bat Me page. But if you just want to go look for an @ yourself, I am at 78B. Logan is at Logan the Kid. And Dylan is at Montlerius. You can also find Logan on Twitch. Also, Logan the Kid.
Logan the Kid. Yep. And you can find the podcast's Twitter at Bloomfeld Pod, just to keep up some updates there, in case you don't feel like using YouTube for whatever reason. Sometimes I post funny shit, sometimes I don't. I don't know.
You can keep up to date with all the random shit that we come up with or whatnot. And, you know, if we ever decide to do much with that anyway, much done.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
See you all in the next one.
Bye.